Hey guys, welcome back to Sober in the South. I'm your host, Larry Green. I know it's been a little bit of time and I'm a little bit off of what I'd like to have as a schedule, but I promise I'm going to get back at it and stay hard with it. So we did miss the 6-month point and we're almost into the 7th month. So we're going to jump in today with just some ideas on, well, let's start with where I'm at. At 7 months, I haven't lost any weight. If anything, I've gained it. So maybe it is true that you can lose weight when you stop drinking, but I haven't found it. So just putting that out there. So the second part is that beyond that, it's great. I'm 7 months in almost, and I am still feeling great. I am still staying strong, and I am still clear-headed and happy to be where I'm at today. So with that, I want you guys to know that it's not always easy. There are times where it's a little harder than it is others, but right now, honestly, there are so many opportunities for me to drink and just no desire. So I don't know if you were with me earlier in my podcast in the series when we talked about the fact of getting rid of that just crushing desire to want to stop drinking, and it's going away like super well. Like I really don't have a lot of problem with it. Doesn't mean there's not times I don't want to drink. There are opportunities where someone goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I go, "No, I'm good." And I don't think too much about it. But then there's other times where somebody will go, "Hey man, you want a margarita?" And that's a lot harder. Man, because, there's something about a good margarita. And it is football time in Kentucky. And we're tailgating and we're having a good time. And man, I'm loving it. And everybody around me is drinking. And I'm okay with that. But, when they start bringing out Red Bull and Jaeger, and I remember how much I actually love how it tastes and that initial feel, man, that is hard to walk away from. Fortunately, I'm still able to look up and go, hey, I know how good that is when I take it, but I know how bad it is when I keep taking it. And that's enough for me to deter me enough to say I can have a good time without it. And what's so amazing is being able to come out of these events and walk up to someone afterwards and think, man, hey, do you need a ride? And I've been told, don't do that. Don't be that sober driver guy, because people just, you'll get to where you hate it. But, whatever. But I just, man, it's such an odd feeling. Every time I come out of an event where I am accustomed to the idea of just drinking, and it's concluding, and I'm standing there like, well, I'll be damned. What do I do now? I honestly, at this point, normally I'd be to the point I'd be so damn hammered or so tired or still just going that I would never, just comprehend where I'm at in that moment. And one of the biggest notices of that was we went to a 12 o'clock kickoff, which ended at about 3:30, somewhere around 3:30 with the 12 o'clock kickoff. And we had gotten to the field around, I want to say 9 o'clock, somewhere in there. So we tailgated from 9 to 12. And then I went in with some good friends that got me some tickets, and shout out to Matt Good on this one, and then Chad on my other one. So, you guys hooked me up, got me in there, and great tailgating, and come out of the game, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do for the rest of my day? I still have the rest of my day to go enjoy it, and honestly, that's pretty good, because normally if I come out of a 3:30 game that's ended, well, I'm going home and taking a 7-hour nap, and I'll wake up about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then just be pretty much confined to the house. So, it's just a whole different feeling, and just the relearning process is great. So, that has been pretty amazing. So, I don't know who else is out there that's in the vicinity where I'm at, but I'm hoping that you're having some of those same experiences that I am. I know for some people it's harder. I know for a handful of people, maybe I'm the oddity. Maybe at 6 months, this isn't how you should be. Maybe you shouldn't be able to handle being around drinking, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just setting myself up for failure with the idea of tempting myself all the time. And I do think about that. I think about the fact that I'm tempting myself to do something that I know I don't want to do. But at the same time, I'm just going out and I'm just living my life. And right now I'm living the better part of it. We don't know how long we're going to be here and what all we've got left in front of us. So I'm getting out right now and I'm enjoying it. And I have no desire to want to stop that. And if that means next Thursday I'm headed out to Mirror Twin, which is a brewing company, if I'm heading out there and I'm going to hang out and have some pizza and drink some Pepsi, then that's what I'm going to do while everybody else around me drinks some Oktoberfest. That's great. I want to do that. I'm not going to sit my ass at home and be upset with not drinking because there's nothing to do, because I can find things to do. Part of that is having more energy, that when I'm at home, I find that I'm doing more around my house. So that's, of course, my wife might argue that. She might say, well, it's not hard to do more when you didn't do any. So, more is not, it's relevant to your mindset. So, with that, that's going to kind of get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. And some of the mindset that we're going to talk about comes from a podcast that I listen to. It's called the Alcohol Rethink Podcast, and it's by Patrick J. Fox. If you don't listen to it, I would suggest, if you are trying to stop drinking, that is a great one to listen to. And what is so good about it is there's so many other parts of his podcast that can be related to other facts in life. Not just drinking. I mean, it could be drinking. It could be drugs. It could be obsessions. Doesn't matter what it is. He really kind of gets you out of the box and gets you thinking. So, he's not paying me to say that. The reason I'm saying any of it is because I listen to it all the time. And when that guy gets a new podcast out, I'm on it within a few hours of when it comes up. So, like I said, I would go over and take a listen to that if you have an opportunity. So, but one of the things he talks about is, what is truth? And understanding that the truth is what you believe it to be. And one of the things that we go over in that is that if you believe you have a drinking problem and that you can't fix that drinking problem, then you'll never fix that drinking problem. If you believe you want to stop drinking and you're willing to do what it takes to understand that and to do it, then you will do that. So both ways are true. Even though they're totally two different rationalities, they're both true because you believe they're true. So we're going to kind of get into that today, and we're going to go over some ideas that I really enjoy, and some of those come from him, and some of that is just me paraphrasing on what they were talking about. So please don't quote me on that. I don't know exactly how he said it, but he's a life coach, and so he says it a lot better than I do. But I'm going to tell you, man, there's a lot of truth to that in everything you do. If you believe that you're a worthless piece of shit that's not going to do anything, then that's what you'll be. If you believe you are an individual that can just work yourself into more than where you're at right now, then you will become more than where you're at right now. You are only in the moment you're in because you choose to be in that moment. I was talking with someone today that we talked about the fact that, I'm one of those people that in my world, I see people around me. And as long as you are in my line of sight and you are in my house and you are in my dwelling and you are there and on my mind, you exist, you are alive, you are doing things. If you're not that, then truthfully, at that moment, you don't exist in my world. And I don't mean that negatively. I just mean I can't think well enough to understand how friends of mine that are in Disney World are doing. I actually never just sit and think, I wonder what they're doing right now. It doesn't comprehend that far to me. I can't put the idea of visually seeing what someone else is doing at this moment. So at this moment, this is my world. And in my world, I've decided that I want to get as much of it as I can. I want to be in my world. And I want to be in other people's worlds. And what I just said is that, if you're not in the little sphere that I'm in, I can't acknowledge that you even exist, which for me means I need to get out and I need to be part of what exists around me and what other people are seeing and doing. I talk a lot about volunteering, and that's what I want to tell you in that truth. That's one of the reasons that I enjoy volunteering so much, and why I think it helps so much is because I am not only in my sphere, I am now getting myself into other people's sphere, and they are becoming real to me. And the more people I can get into their sphere and they can get into mine, the more real my life becomes. And the more I can really kind of realize what it is I want to achieve out of it. And I want to keep going each and every day. I go to a Friday men's group. Man, I wish we could do that group 7 days a week. 6 days a week. Love them, but, So, but I would do it. I would do it every day almost. Because it makes me understand that there are people around me that are living lives around me. And one thing you'll actually find about it, man, is their life isn't a whole lot different than yours. And one thing with drinking that I know is true, you live in your own little world where you have a problem. And particularly if you're wanting to quit drinking, you really have a problem. And you want to get to where people are in that world. Now again, doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just means you're living in your own little world. And, a couple of things are true. One, misery loves company. So, you want to get to where you're only with people that are doing the same thing you are. And when you get past the idea of misery loves company, when you're at the point where you don't even want to go out to drink, you just want to be at home by yourself, where you can be solo. I don't get religious on here a lot, but I'm going to put this out there. That's where the devil wants you. The devil wants you by yourself. I'm sure most of you have heard that, but that's the truth. Because when you're at home by yourself drinking, man, that's the riskiest part about that is that's when you can be the utmost miserable and the utmost vulnerable. You don't hear about a lot of people that commit suicide in groups. They're not hanging out at the bar. They're not, drinking and hanging out at church and committing suicide. They're by themselves. They're alone. And that's where the devil wants you, is to be alone. So, one thing you need to understand is you're not alone. And not only are you not alone, when you think like I do and you're in this little sphere where the world doesn't exist around you, and that's not trying to be selfish, but when you think like that, then man, it's easy to believe you are alone in the world and that the problems that you have, nobody in this world have. But I'm going to tell you here right now, I sit with a group of, any given Friday, anywhere from 8 to 14 guys. And on any given Friday of those 8 to 14 guys, there are 3 to 4 guys that have the same problems I have. And the fact that I have them there and that we can talk, man, that makes all the difference in the world. So, that's a testament to how much of a friend these guys are and how much I depend on them. And I depend on them a lot. And whether I'm calling them to get me through something or I'm just listening to what they're saying or they're just listening to what I'm saying. Let's be honest, that's typically what's going on. They're listening to what I'm saying because I'm doing a podcast. People that do podcasts like to talk a lot. So let's get that, the obvious out there. So, but, I got a little strong on that there. So let's bring it back a little bit and let's, just reiterate the fact that don't be alone. Don't drink alone. That is probably the worst way to drink in any fashion. So, people have asked me about, you quit. So, what tragedy happened that made you quit? Well, there was no tragedy, first and foremost. People will say, well, I quit drinking for like 3 or 4 weeks and it was just too hard. So, I just went back to drinking and it's ridiculous because it shouldn't be that hard. And I would look at them and go, okay, so you drank for 10, 15 years almost daily. You trained yourself to drink like that. You trained your brain to want that. And then you're upset because after a week, a month, whatever it is, you're not just better. And that life isn't miraculously better, even though you spent years creating the problem. Well, guess what? It doesn't go away in days, weeks, months. You can start to feel better in days, weeks, months. But there's a lot to do with it, and giving up that quick, that easy, I don't want anyone to do that. I want you guys to understand that it's effort. And, just like one of the things we went over in church today with the pastor, he talked about the fact if you want to grow, it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the reality. So if by growing you want to quit drinking and that's your growth, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. You're going to sacrifice. Understand before you ever start. Because some people shouldn't start trying to quit. Because if you go into it just immediately thinking all these things are going to be easy, then you're probably going to fail right off the bat. And by failing, you've now told yourself, well, I can't do that. So if you're thinking about quitting, take a moment and think about what's going to change in your life and what you've got to commit to. And don't try to guess how you're going to feel or what you're going to feel, but try to understand that it's not going to be easy and there are sacrifices you're going to have to make. So, understand that. There's a little bit of uncomfortable in it, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, if it wasn't for being uncomfortable, and if it wasn't for bad times or bad moments, you would not appreciate the good ones. You can't have one without the other. So yeah, don't think you're just going to run and jump into it in a day or two and life will be a lot better. And with the other part of that is people have also looked at me and said, okay, so, well, it was easy for you. You just decided one day you were going to quit drinking and you haven't drank since. Well, that's a lie. There's no truth to that. I've tried to quit drinking 50 times. I just never really took it serious. Maybe once or twice. That's about it. Once or twice when something bad happened and I was committed to the idea that I didn't want to get in trouble anymore for whatever it was. But I wasn't committed to the idea that I didn't want that life anymore. It was only when I truly realized I didn't want that life anymore, that wasn't going to define me anymore, was I able to then stand up and go, nope, no more. But the other part of that is all those other times I failed. When the day came that I did decide to not drink anymore and I stood firm to it, I had all those other failures to help me along the way. So don't take me saying don't stop drinking if you're not ready to as quit 1,000 times if you need to, but just understand there's going to be things there. I listened to a show the other day and they talked about, Thomas Edison. I think you'll, fail 10,000 times and get it right the next try. It's kind of the same thing. You'll never succeed at something you don't try at. All those good, motivational things. So that's real stuff on there in your mind on what you're going to do. So that's where I'm at with that part. So life's been going pretty good besides that. So we go back with the dealing with not drinking when there's problems going on. As a lot of you know, I ran around with another bout of the melanoma, and we're beating it again. But got to do a lot more stuff with it. So that, I don't know. Maybe that actually helped me quit a little bit, because maybe I realized I don't want to spend whatever time I have left just being drunk and not being in anything in any moment, and just people being mad at me or whatever, So, you got to just keep going with whatever is working for you. So I really wish there was more of a way where I could reach out to people that do listen and say, if you need any help or anything, just hit me in here. So I've actually thought about doing a live one at some point, and then if there was any listeners that had any type of questions or anything of that nature that we could help with. But beyond that, just I don't know. I think sometimes I have a little bit of trouble doing the podcast because I have a little bit of trouble on what I want to say. What is real to me and what is important to me. And most of those I've actually shared with you guys. And one of those is just, if I can help anybody out there, that's very important to me. So, but honestly, I love just getting on here and saying what I want. That's probably some of the best therapy I've ever had. I love that I have a group of friends and family that listen, and that may be the only people that ever listen to it. And if it is, that's fine. But I enjoy doing this, and it really does make me feel better when I walk up away from it. And I've got guys that within an hour of it going live or being posted will come back to me and message me and go, man, just got your podcast. I'll be listening to it, now or tomorrow or the next time I'm mowing or whatever. And man, yeah, it excites me. It'd probably excite me just as much if somebody listened to it and said, hey, I have no idea who you are, but I really liked hearing it because it helped me. If I can do that, that's great too. Other than that, I'm just on here rambling and it just helps me. So, but I think that's at 7 months or just shy of 7 months. That's really where I'm at with it. So, I hope that anyone that is listening that is on this same journey, that you're good with it too. And if you've had a setback, then I hope you have jumped back on it and are staying with it. And I hope that, that God can help you in the same way He helped me, by getting me into the right moment and the right spot to say it's now time. I've surrounded you with the right people. I have put enough things in your head to tell you that it's time for you to do the work and make the right decisions. And I thank you guys for being on this journey with me. And I think that's about it for today's broadcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good day.